Indeed. Right now, Daniel, we have our first guest on the show. Our first guest is Dr. Sarju Patel. Dr. Sarju Patel is a Regia/Associate Professor at Cardiff University School of Medicine, where as Director of Year 2, he plays a key role in the design, delivery and assessment of the undergraduate medical curriculum. He is also co-chair of the Medical Schools Council EDI, Equality, Diversity and Inclusion Alliance, and is currently leading the development of National Anti-Racism Guidance for UK medical schools. With over 2 decades dedicated to education and inclusion, he is committed to building dialogue across divides and inspiring people from all backgrounds to see higher education as a place where they belong and can flourish. So, Dr. Sarju Patel, good morning. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you, and welcome to the Breakfast Show at the Voice of Islam Radio.
Thank you for inviting me.
Well, without any further ado, your research places strong emphasis on lived experiences. Why are these perspectives so important in discussions around race equality?
So lived experience matters in race equality because it shows how race operates in real life, not just how it describes policy, law or theory. Lived experience reveals what statistics cannot. Data can show disparities, but lived experience explains the context, how biases appears in hiring, health inequalities, policing, and everyday micro-decisions that are rarely, if ever, recorded. So example B, if I was to be asked, where am I from? My answer to that would be London, because that's where I was born and raised.
Yeah.
But the next question I'm always asked, and I think your readers or your listeners will probably have the same thing, where are you really from?
Yeah.
This is a microaggression. This is a statement or action or incident which is an intentional or unintentional act of behaviour that discriminates against me because of the colour of my skin and that from a minority ethnic group. Another example for me again is people are shocked that I have a PhD, that I'm an associate professor, that I lead the year 2 course, medical course at Cardiff University. Because based on the colour of my skin, the assumption is I'm a taxi driver or shopkeeper because that's the stereotype of a South Asian. These microaggressions tell us something. They tell us we don't belong, and it impacts our sense of belonging. This in turn causes us to underperform possibly in our jobs and has a wider impact on our well-being. And this is a constant. It happens regularly. It's a little drip effect throughout the year, throughout the decades. In addition, these microaggressions, in addition, this recognition of these experiences highlights diversity in racial groups. There's no single story. Lived experiences captures variations in sex, class, disability, religion, just to name a few, which prevents design of one-size-fits-all solutions that avoids flattening everyone into stereotypes. And finally, it supports more effective solutions. So interventions designed with the input of affected communities are more effective. Lived experience helps us ensure solutions match real needs, real constraints, and real cultural context.
Yeah, and you know, it's true and it's right, like you said, that as soon as somebody sees you, they don't expect you to be educated, or they expect you to be a total foreigner as soon as they've seen you. And recently, it's been even I've experienced it. A lot of racism is being first it used to be that we would see it in the older generation, but now even in the newer generation, it's there as well still. You have examined how institutional policies can affect different groups in equal ways. In your view, where could institutions make the most meaningful improvements to inclusivity?
So I'll give you a bit of context here. So if I would say to you, the ethnic staff are less likely to be shortlisted for interviews. When shortlisted, they are less likely to be hired. If hired, they're more likely to be on fixed-term contracts, are more likely to have concerns raised against them. When concerns are raised, they're more likely to be faced disciplinary action, which is more punitive than their white colleagues. Their contributions are often undervalued, making promotion less likely. They're disproportionately at risk of losing their jobs. Would that shock you?
Yeah.
So this is a natural state. But all institutions have clear policies, which means this should not be happening. The main issue is the application of these policies. What we need is clear, strong leadership and accountability. Actions over words, because words are cheap. effective training that avoids tick box exercise, that allows institutions to meet their legal compliance requirements, but does not change the attitudes and behaviours that drive racism. This should help improve workplace culture, but with that we also need for employees not to dismiss concerns raised as workplace banter, and have clear standards for conduct, strong responses to racism that supports reporting without retaliation.
And discussions about race can often feel difficult or uncomfortable. From your experience, how can these conversations be approached in a more constructive and productive manner?
I think the first thing to understand what is going on here. So from my experience, what makes discussions about race feel difficult or uncomfortable is fear. Fear of saying the wrong thing, fear of offending, fear of being labelled a racist. That is a real workplace concern. So as a first step, it's important to realise that it's not my job or any other ethnic minority's job to teach people about racism, to educate them. It is important they take the time to learn what they can. Then they can ask open-ended, thoughtful questions. So be curious, but be thoughtful when asking those questions. Then reflect back of what you've heard or what they've heard before they respond. And most importantly, do not dismiss others' lived experiences. Try to understand that we all see the world differently. We as ethnic people experience the world differently, and the world treats us differently. And we've got to realise that, or they've got to realise that that's actually the way they see the world and the way we see the world is different. That's because of the way the world engages with us.
Beautifully explained. And last but not least, but what guidance would you offer to young people, who wish to challenge racism, but they feel uncertain how to begin?
That's a difficult one, but what I tell my students is a couple of things. Firstly, recognise your own emotions. So never challenge someone when you are emotional, when you're at a heightened. So when something's happened to you, it's important to walk away, calm down, and sort yourself out first. Because when you're emotional, you are seen as the angry ethnic person.
Yeah.
Straight away, right? So important that you take that first step. Never get personal. Challenge in terms of behaviours and actions, and speak in terms of how it impacted you. For example, when you did this, it made me feel this. It's impossible for someone to say to you, that's not how you felt, because they cannot get and because you haven't got personal, they're less likely to be defensive when you do respond, and they're more likely to be positive when in their response. My final piece of advice is try to challenge in private. Our perception or other people's perception of us is really, really important to us. So we are more likely to be defensive when we are challenged in public and retaliate when that happens. So my advice is always do it privately.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Dr. Sarju Patel, for joining us this morning, for sharing your experiences and for guiding the youth as well. We hope to hear from you in the near future as well, and may Allah the Almighty bless you in all your endeavours. Thank you very much. May the peace and blessing of Allah be upon you.
Thank you very much for inviting me.